Hi, my name is Colin Malone, and today I will be presenting my research proposal on renewable resource mismanagement as illustrated by the Newfoundland cod fishery. The purpose of my research proposal is to understand the conditions leading to the cod moratorium, to translate these lessons to other renewable resource economies, and to provide information to Newfoundlanders about the fisheries class. The Newfoundland cod fishery sustained the province of Newfoundland since the 16th century. In the 1950s, there was a movement away from domestic commodity production, and in the 1960s this was followed by new fishing methods, including trawling, foreign overfishing, and the management moved away from fishers into the hands of government employees. The collapse of the fishery started to show signs in the 1980s when catches began to shrink and smaller fish sizes were reported. Policymakers, however, continued using previous strategies. They maintained a hands-off approach from the day-to-day operations of the fishery, and policies were based on socio-economic conditions in Newfoundland at the time, rather than on the scientific data available. The aftermath of these decisions have resulted in thousands of Newfoundlanders being unemployed, and Newfoundland has been without a primary industry. This has resulted in out-migration, communities becoming divided, government reliance, and the hope for recovery which is still yet to come. Many lessons have been learned from the Newfoundland tragedy. Among these is how important it is to manage a resource properly. Renewable resources are meant to be sustained. However, in the case of Newfoundland, this was avoided, mainly through ignorance on the behalf of policymakers. Frontline suffering of workers is also evident in the case of Newfoundland, as fishermen, fish plant workers, and merchants have been faced with many challenges in their life ever since. Government involvement can also be criticized in the case of Newfoundland, as government focused on reliance rather than a recovery method. My methodology for my research proposal will focus on quantitative methods to focus in on economic impacts, which will use economic data and scientific data. I'll also use qualitative methods to assess the social impacts of the fisheries collapse. This will include interviews and questionnaires with people who were involved and lived through the collapse of the fishery. In conclusion, my research proposal hopes to achieve three things: avoidance of this happening in other renewable resource-based economies, an understanding of the factors which can lead to a renewable resource collapsing, and an informing of the people who have suffered from the Newfoundland cod fisheries collapse. I would like to thank you for being a part of my audience today and for listening to my research proposal.